sharp by 5. So, but we'll have another 1.5 hour after the session too. So we'll send you a link to your email ID. So please send a mail to ajay.@Fernandez Foundation. Zion, I will continue with the next lecture because
yes, I will continue the next lecture, sir. I'm finished.
So Sai, you're ready? Can you share your screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, over to you, Sai. Please go ahead.
Yeah, yes, sir. So, hello friends, and I'm Dr. Sai Kiran. We have seen the science and art of ventilation, and possibly now we will see the practical application of ventilation. And ventilation is a team job. So I think when we talk about ventilation, we have to talk about the team effort. It's an appropriate place, protocols, practices. So with me together today, we have Dr. Praveen and Sister Ankita, and together we will do the assessment of respiratory ventilation support for this baby. And before that, I would just like to brief that since most of us are talking about setting up ventilation, the concept of setting up ventilation is not just a machine, it is about the people, the processes, and also the infrastructure. So let's see what a ventilation bed consists of. Just to walk around this bed, you will see that we have this baby on ventilation. We have the central lines. I hope Srinivas is able to zoom and show. That is where we have the oxygen line, the compressed air, and the central suction. This is very important with additional spare lines. This additional spare oxygen line is useful when we are doing a bagging and acute deterioration. That's very important. Then we have the suction which has been cleaned, and this we'll talk about in the housekeeping, and usually in the supportive care practices it has been covered. And see in the back, this is very important, that which we ignore is the electrical points. Now this small step is very essential. We have uninterrupted power supply lines, we have adequate power plugs, which helps us to set up the ventilator bed with adequate infusion pumps, syringe pumps. And this baby who is on ventilation support will also require certain supportive care practices, which already Dr. Sriram has highlighted. So essentially Sister Ankita will tell us what are those items and necessary interventions which are required. So let's see, Sister Ankita, can you brief?
Good evening, all. So this is these are the equipments what we keep ready for the ventilation assembly, and we should ensure the adequate.
So this is the kit which is ready. So whether we want to intubate a baby in the time of deterioration or for anything, these are the essential items. So let's see what are the essential items of a ventilation kit, which should be always available besides the bed of a ventilated baby.
We should have adequate supply of green sheets, that is sterile green sheets. And coming to the resuscitation kit, we should the appropriate size ET tubes, oxygen, the ambo bag, reservoir oxygen tubing, mask size of 3 different sizes, that is size 1, size 0, and the other one is for the extreme low birth weight babies.
And we also make sure that we have a functional laryngoscope, and it's essential that it's checked with additional spare batteries. And you have a T-piece resuscitator, which is especially useful in cases where you have extremely small babies, as we saw in the video shown by Dr. Sriram, that is to perform suctioning. So we have to provide intermittent positive pressure. This is useful because your routine ambu bag doesn't have PEEP. So the availability of T-piece resuscitator goes a long way to maintain the lung recruitment, especially whenever we are disconnecting the baby from ventilator, like processes during suctioning. So with this preparedness, and we'll also see that the last part which I wanted to highlight before we go for the ventilation assessment is the housekeeping practices. This is very important because if we neglect this core, we end up with infections. We might know everything about the knobs and the settings, but the baby will die of infections. So appropriate housekeeping practices includes always biomedical waste disposals. With this background and setup of a ventilated bed, now let's see the assessment of ventilation support for our baby. So this is baby of S, a 4-day-old, 38-weeker, 3-kilo male baby, and it's an operated case of tracheoesophageal fistula. Currently 4 days old. This baby is on mechanical ventilation. And for that I asked Praveen, can we see what are the settings?
The baby is on SIMV plus PSV mode of ventilation with set PIP of 12 millibar and PWEP of 4 and set FiO2 of 21%. And with the PSV pressure support, pressure is 8 and rate of 30, and inspiratory time was set to 0.36.
Okay. So let's see the baby and see the assessment of the baby. Srinivas, can we focus on the baby? So how is the baby?
The baby is being receiving the ventilator care. Baby is under the radiant warmer with a temperature of 36.5 set temperature, and with the heat output being 20%, and baby is maintaining a normal temperature.
So that is very important. Any cold stress will put an additional oxygenation demand on the baby, so avoiding hypothermia. So we have a baby with the set temperature, minimal heat output, maintaining the skin surface temperature.
And the baby being continuously monitored with the pulse oximeter and heart rate monitoring. Currently, there were no alarms that are activated, and now the baby saturation is 94% and on the heart rate of 140.
Yeah, and as we see through the trend of the support in the last 6 to 8 hours, so any multipara has this record. It's very important to assess, and the future is using the artificial intelligence. This is a type of artificial intelligence. Just see the trend, and in the last few hours, we see that the baby had a heart rate of 160 to 150 and was saturating more than 95 most of the time. So how many time and what proportion of time was the baby spending within the range of 90 to 95 or more than 95? What was the heart rate trend? One can always use. We'll see the monitoring, but just wanted to highlight this point. So the baby is comfortable, looks pink, is euthermic. Can we check the circulation? We said the heart rate is normal.
Yes.
So we will have a look at the CFT. Right. So the CFT is normal, and we see that the baby is now a little bit agitated, possibly handling light and sound. And yeah, can we? Yeah. So how is the chest rise?
There is good chest rise is there, sir. Now the baby is agitated on the ventilator, and there were no retractions. As of now, the baby is having good chest rise, and with minimal subcostal retractions, I am looking right now.
Yeah, so possibly the baby is a little bit in pain and was slightly agitated, but we see that there are no retractions and chest rise is good. Can you check for air entry?
Yes, sir.
So we make sure that the auscultation is done in the axilla on both sides and compare the air entry on both the sides.
Sir, there is decreased air entry on the right side noted, sir.
Okay, so the air entry is decreased on the right side. We see an ICD in situ, but when we look at the baby is maintaining the saturations, having no tachycardia, and is requiring oxygen of room air. So possibly there is no immediate respiratory insufficiency, but you said there is a decreased air entry. So other problem could be that the baby could be having reaccumulation of air. So that for that, can we perform a transillumination and see?
Yes.
So meanwhile, can you check the ET tube?
Yes.
Because non-positioned ET tube leading to collapse is very common.
So the ET is fixed at the lip level at 7, and it is well fixed, sir.
Okay, are we sure that that is where it was intubated and fixed?
Yes, sir. We have marking on the ET tube fixation point that is at 7, and it is in sync with the what is on the baby.
Okay, so there is no migration. This is very important to keep, because every time we cannot repeat an X-ray if there is any accidental extubation or re-intubations, and we don't see any movement here. So it is firmly fixed. Any movement at the point of fixation is again injurious to the vocal cord. So it is firmly fixed, and there are no visible secretions. It is parallel to the ground or parallel to the bed of the baby. So it's in a dependent position. So we see that the flow sensor doesn't have any secretions. Let's inspect the respiratory circuit or the ventilation circuit. So the green one is where the inspiratory circuit is. So the circuit should be bone dry. There should be no condensate. I see that there is some condensate across the expiratory wall, even though I don't see any condensate in the inspiratory levy. So let us see where the fault is. One of the factor could be
room temperature, sir. Which was,
so do we have a room temperature?
yes, sir. The temperature is 25 currently, and with 50% humidity.
25. So possibly slightly cold room. We usually expect 26 to 28. So maybe that could be one factor. Then do we have the water level appropriate?
Yes, sir. It is
Yes.
at the marking level. It is appropriate. Sir.
Yes, so it is a water level is appropriate. The chamber temperature is possibly overheating. So this is C is for the chamber temperature. It is overheating, maybe to compensate for the cold environment. And we see that. I will just try to unlock this.
Yes, sir.
And after unlocking, we will see how much is at the patient end. 40. So it is 2-degree difference. A is for the airway, that is at the patient end. That's what Dr. Rajendra Prasad would have highlighted in his talk. And we see that this overheating is possibly due to the cold room. So it's a very common phenomenon. Apart from cold room, inadequate water level, or like this probe, which is directly under the radiant warmer. So it is the sensing probe. If it is sensing the heat from the radiant warmer, it will not correctly give us the assessment of the airway temperature. So we need to tell the maintenance people to correct the room temperature.
Yes.
And there is some water in the water trap which we need to clean. So, Sister Ankita, how is the supportive care assessment?
So the baby is well positioned, sir, in a straight alignment, and also with the nesting appropriately placed.
Okay, you see some nesting, but not perfect. We need to have a better nesting. Since we are examining, we have uncovered the baby. Yes.
And
After the nesting,
the baby is put with the cap and
yes,
socks
we have
and
a cap.
gloves.
We have muffled the ears, and the eyes are covered with the cap
Cap.
because it's a bright light and sound. And ventilation itself provides a lot of sound,
Sound.
especially when you have an HFO ventilation. Okay.
And otherwise, for the baby to be to ensure that the baby is in comfortable position, baby is not being agitated. I will check for the nappy also, whether since the baby got agitated, I'll just check whether the baby's nappy is wet.
Meanwhile, as Ankita checks for wet nappy, because we see the baby slightly moving, it could be her feed time. Is the baby on feed?
Yes, sir, the baby is on feed.
It's a post-operative tracheostomy fistula case, operated 36 hours back, but enteral nutrition is always good. So we have started the baby on trophic feed, and feeding is not a contraindication in ventilated babies. Apart from that, we see that there is a central line which is loud, and we make sure that strict asepsis is maintained for administering the total parenteral nutrition. And there is an ICD in situ with heavy plasters. We don't know how much skin damage they might cause, but we will be conscious about the underlying skin damage. And let Ankita check for the wet nappy. Do we have a wet nappy?
No, sir.
So no. Okay. So is it the probe side that is hurting the baby,
I'll just see, sir.
or the ICD, which could be irritating the baby? So we'll check for the pulse oximeter probe. Is it tied too tightly? And apart from that, the agitation could be induced by our presence and sounds. So we saw that the ICD tube is extending. Just to complete the examination, I would just like to see, do we have the column movement?
Yes, sir. There is column movement is present, sir.
Okay. And is underwater seal appropriate?
Yes.
So So we just few moments back thought that you informed me that the air entry is decreased on the right side with the ICD in situ. We have a column movement there, and now we got the red light or the transmission light. Can we perform the transillumination?
Yes, sir.
To check for the reaccumulation of pneumothorax?
Yes, sir.
So as we perform the transillumination, he starts from the unaffected side. Yeah, so both sides there is no transillumination. It's negative. So we see that the baby is comfortable, vitals are stable. He is having normal temperature, heart rate. Do we have the last NIBP record?
Yes, sir. It is 74 by 40 with map of 54, and we are being monitoring with the the monitoring chart here.
Yes.
In the last 12 hours, the baby is having euthermia, sir, with temperatures of.
So the temperatures are maintained, and this is the core temperatures which have been recorded. They are 37.5. The peripheries have been warm and pink, and the respiratory rate has been recorded 55 to 60. There have been no retractions, and the heart rate trend, and possibly this is worrisome. Praveen, what do you think?
Sir, there is a increasing trend in the last 6 hours. Sir.
Okay, and this is associated with an increase in the respiratory rate, so it could be suggestive of us developing sepsis, pneumonia. So we have to be worried. But for the pneumonia, again, we said that the respiratory settings are
Minimal.
minimal. He's almost in the pressures of 12 by 4, which is with that having good chest rise and not requiring any additional oxygen supplementation. So this could be beyond lungs. That beyond lungs, we have to think in this baby is a term baby, so PDA is unlikely, and we are joined by Rajendra also. So
I just want to add that
Yes,
that
sir.
heart rate may be also because of secretion,
Yes, sir.
oral and ET secretions, and that
Yes,
may
sir.
have caused some increase in heart rate.
Yes, sir.
The other thing which I wanted to add is the chest expansion is very good for this baby. That means your PAP is all right.
All right.
There are no retractions. That is why your PEEP is all right, and you have a saturation within the target range. That means your FiO2 is all right. Can you
Yes.
show the TI, the pressure time graph, so that we know that your TI is excess or normal for
Yeah.
this baby?
So we have the flow graph here, and you will see that there is two colors. This what was talking about the triggering phenomena. Now the baby is moving, so there is some artifact, but we see we'll wait some time.
So, but you can see the pressure
So-
time graph. The pressure
Yeah,
time
so I'm
graph is
seeing
not
this
showing
pressure
large
time graph.
plateau. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's not much
so
of a
it
plateau.
is like a plateau. And
So
here
that
there is
means
a
your
brief
TI is adequate.
pause.
Yeah,
Yes,
there are
sir.
some air in the expiratory limb, so that is why you are able to see some serrations there. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So Sai, can we go to your PowerPoint? You have anything else on the video to be shown here?
Yeah, we have some additional cases, sir. We can discuss those cases or the PowerPoint then.
Yeah, I think we can discuss the cases for another 5 to 10 minutes.
Yes,
And then we will ask the people, whoever want to join us, let them join, and then we'll start with your PowerPoint. Those people
Sure,
are
sir.
joining back for us.
Yes, sir. So
So you can show the other cases.
just highlighting the point of what Srinivas sir was telling, we have a continuous record rather than a single picture, single point assessment. A continuous record is more important. And here we see what are the settings of the baby whenever a blood gas was sent, and including how many times the suction was done. So this helps us to know that whether we are dealing with the impending deterioration by change in the trend, a developing VAP which we can pick up, and or the secretions, like in this case the tachycardia could be because of secretions, pain. We can always analyze with this. So the most important crux is monitoring and documenting the monitoring precisely. So with that we will switch over to the PowerPoint, sir, then.
I'm okay with that.
Yes, sir. Okay. So thank you everyone, and thank you team members. And as we say, we should thank the baby for cooperating us with us and bearing the harsh lights and environment while allowing us to shoot. So we will see you with the other end with the PowerPoint presentation.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, the team. Thank you, Ankita, Praveen, Prasad, and the nursing team there. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So share your screen. Sai, can you share your screen?
He will start in a moment, sir. It's just going to the.
Yes, sir. I am sharing myself, sir, now with another computer.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, sir. So, just few moments back, we saw a baby on. I'm audible and visible, sir?
You're visible, but the audio is not very clear. Can you move near to the microphone?
Yeah. Now, sir, I'm better. So, welcome all. We'll just go through few live recorded cases of babies on ventilation support. And as we know, ventilation support is a bridge between the disease and the baby, and something that should be safe and effective. Anyone who has attended to a ventilated baby will encounter these problems: a baby fighting a ventilator, desaturation alarms, and inadequate support. So we'll just see through few videos, and already has been highlighted that what is important is to look at the disease severity clinically, X-ray based ABG, settings that are appropriate to the disease, appropriate modification, ET that is properly fixed, and most importantly, one that comes with least cost is an appropriate supportive environment, which is very essential. So I will not go through these points again, but quickly go to the case scenario. So let's see case one. This baby has arrived to the NICU at 30 minutes and 33 week at 1.8 kilos and has been admitted to the NICU with respiratory distress. So we see grunting is quite audible and the retractions are very prominent. No guesses here. It is a severe RD. So we look at management plan. I don't have much of chat box interaction, but I will say everyone agrees that we should get an X-ray if available, but not mandatory. So this is how it looks. It's a whiteout lung. So we will start with CPAP and with the rule of 5, that is 5 flow and PEEP of 5 and FiO to 30%. And with the X-ray being available and or with the oxygen requirement more than 30 to 40%, an early surfactant with an insure is advisable, and that was what done in this baby. Now let us see what happens. The same baby, after 1 hour, we visit back in the NICU, and now the baby is on PEEP of 7. Over the last 1 hour, the work of breathing was persisting, so they increased the PEEP and FiO2 shot up to 30%. And also the call has been placed that the baby is having frequent apneas. So let us see what's wrong with the baby. And yes, we see that the baby is having the rate is on the higher side. There are persistent intercostal retractions. There are some dusky peripheries. Yes, they're focusing on the nasal flaring. And yes, he's maintaining the SATs. Now look at the circuit. Okay, there is some condensate. The settings as I highlighted with the FiO2 of 40% and PEEP of 7. Bubbling is seen. And I think this is the problem is it's 27.1 and very cold gases being given over the last 1 hour. So maybe that could be the reason that the baby is not getting an adequate CPAP support. So we saw that the bubbling is heard and the transillumination is negative. So what did they do? They ventilated the baby. So now this baby is on SIMV with settings of 18/4, that is PIP of 18, PWP of 4 with I time of 0.4, rate of 40 and FiO2 55%. The sister calls us and says that the baby is not maintaining SATs and is having high breath rate and inadequate mechanical minute ventilation alarm. So let's assess this baby. And
sir, sorry to cut you in between. It's already 5.
okay, so I think just last case.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so the baby is in an obvious dysynchrony and we see that the rate is not in sync with the set rate. There are retractions which are prominent, and we see that this baby requires an evaluation, and that is possibly related to the temperature is normal, circulation is okay, blood gas shows that PCO2, the ventilation's most important aspect, is normal, and there is some metabolic acidosis. So what is the fault? I think it is an inadequate PWP. So whenever there are retractions, we look at the PWP, that the lung is not recruited, and that's why the baby is in dysynchrony. And as we go through, I think here where I end. So after 12 hours of increasing the PEEP to 5, this baby now we see that is on 18/5 with an FiO2 35%, rate of 40, is comfortable, no retractions. In fact, the chest was on the jumping side, and the PIP is 18. The chest rise was very prominent. So this is what we have to see. So possibly, if we look at this baby, this is the weaning phase. And when I said, and as we said, weaning is the phase once the disease is passive, baby is hemodynamically stable, and we see that we have to proportionately decrease the PIP and PWP. So possibly it is the time we decrease PIP by 2 and thereafter decrease the FiO2 further, and before we plan for the extubation. So I think there are further cases. Should I pause, sir?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, sir. So I will be really quick. Okay. So this is another baby, a 28-weeker, 1 kilo, is on a third day of life, is on ventilation of 15/5 with TI of 0.4, rates of 40, and is on room air. We get a call that the baby is not maintaining saturations. We see that the heart rate is 140, saturating 86%. As I walk across, a comfortable baby, again, the temperature and circulation are stable. Baby is pink. We see a good chest size with no retractions, not maintaining SATs. Possibly this is the time we have to increase the FiO2, as we see that the FiO2 is only 21%. So when we have had adequate lung recruitment and we have made sure that other parameters are stable, we have to look at the FiO2. So that is what was done in this case. And this case is again a frequent encounter which we see. This 2 weeks old, 26-weeker, ventilated for HSPDA, is on SIMV 14/5 with a TI of 0.4, and we are getting a high breath rate alarm. And as Dr. Sriram showed in his PPT, that this zigzag wavy pattern and high breath rate makes us think of secretions. So what is this? Is nothing but auto triggering, and this could be because of secretion. So let's see, the baby's rate is in not sync with what we have seen on the ventilator. It was showing 140, 150. Babies, if we count for 1 minute, would have been around 50 to 60. Nice chest rise, no retractions. ET is fixed well at the desired position, not hurting the baby. And as we walk across, we see that there is water in the blue limb, which we see here. That is the inspiratory limb, and that is moving with the inspiration and expiration movement of gases, and this sets up auto triggering. That is, these are the false breaths. So that's why we see that the baby has a very high breath rate and the water level. Now this is very important. Wherever the mark is there, the water level should be maintained exactly, neither above nor less. So this baby, now let's see what happens once we remove the water. And yes, the water is being decanted back, and still after some time, yeah, this is how we usually remove the water. Now there is no water visible, and now let's see, the water level is still desired to be corrected. Now see, this baby's breath rate is falling to 80, and gradually we'll see that it will normalize. So it's very important that we should ensure that humidification is appropriate. So now to the case 4, we have a 48-hour-old baby, a 36-weeker, 2.5 kilo, ventilated for pneumonia at birth. The baby was doing fine. In the last 4 or 5 hours, the sister tells us that the baby is hardly having any activity in his limb, and the current settings are 14/5, 14 PIP with PWP of 5. We have a TI of 0.4 seconds, rate of 40, and on room air. We are sure that there is no HIE in seizures and no sedation was given. So the baby's limp obviously is pink and is saturating 100%. Heart rate is normal. Let's again see the baby. The chest is pretty much jumping. Now, this is what we call a jumping chest, and there is no retraction. So possibly when we look back at our settings and analyze, this baby has a higher PIP than desired. So the problem in this baby would be related to the hypocarbia. So whenever we give the pressures on the higher side, we give a situation where we induce hypocarbia, which in turn decreases the cerebral blood flow and can have a devastating effect. So that is to highlight the importance of looking at the appropriateness of PIP. Now let us see this baby is just 18 hours old, ventilated in view of severe TTNB, is on settings of 16/5 with rate of 40, TI of 0.4, is on room air. And blood gas was done, which is showing TCO2 of 60 with pH of 7.2. We are alarmed that there is a respiratory acidosis. So let's analyze what is the reason. And this baby is having ET fixed at 7. And yes, we walk through, we see across the respiratory or the ventilator circuit, not much of condensate, water level, chamber temperature is appropriate. Settings are 16/5 with 21%. So what would be the problem? So yes, again, check on the air entry, ensure that the lung is well recruited, hemodynamics are stable. The problem, if you look back again at this video, lies in this extra length of the ET tube. So that is the importance, that when we have an extra length of ET tube, you end up creating dead space, and that leads to hypercarbia. So this is the last of the cases, very common again. So we get a call that our 2 days old, 37-weeker ventilated baby is fighting, and sister thought that to relieve his pain, she gave a midazolam. And when we come and see the baby, this is what we see. Yes, the baby is sort of in dysynchrony. There are some retractions, but not in sync. Otherwise looks pink, euthermic. And as we see that the transillumination is negative, and this is what the chest X-ray revealed to us. The decreased air entry was because of the tube that migrated in. It was hurting the baby on the carina. Baby was irritable and gradually developed a collapse, leading to decreased air entry. So it's very important that we see why the baby is fighting before we start sedating the babies. So I think that's where I conclude, sir. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sai, Praveen, and Ankita. It was a wonderful session, and I'm sure most of the audience would have enjoyed looking at live bedside scenario of the baby on the ventilator. Zion, you are there?
Yeah, yes, sir, I'm there.
Do you want to give some closing remarks?
Yeah, sir. Very nice lecture, sir. All the speakers were excellently put in covered all the topics in neonatology, sir. And